for less than what you owe on it. So let's say you have a first mortgage only and you owe $100,000, but the market has moved on you and the most you can get is $80,000. The short sale allows a borrower to come out from under home ownership, maybe relocate for job opportunities, which is so important in this economic crisis, without having to satisfy the full mortgage obligation. Short sales must be agreed to by the person who owns the note, the investor, the Fannie Mae, the Freddie Mac, or their delegate, which is the servicer. So when borrowers have decided that they no longer want to own their home and they want to move on, take a job, or they're just ready to be renters again, they need a breather, or for whatever reason, a short sale is a very viable solution, provided that you get the approval of the person who owns your note, your investor, and you can get that through your servicer. You don't have to find Fannies and Freddies and Ginnies and whoever else is out there. You go to your servicer, the person to whom you make your mortgage, and say, I want to sell my home. I'm looking at the values in my neighborhood. I owe more than it's worth. Than it's worth. And what can I, help me with a short sale or help me go through the process properly. Because in order to fully transfer the title at the end of the sale transaction, you have to have a lien free and clear. So if the investor doesn't agree to, in that example, the $20,000 deficiency, they're not going to release the title, so you really can't transfer it. It's not a clean sale. So let's take another example. There are other parties that could be involved in a short sale. You have your first mortgage holder, but you could have a second lien on your property, a second mortgage. You could have mortgage insurance on your property. So the mortgage insurance company has a vested interest too, and they all have to agree to the terms of your short sale. So when you're looking at doing a short sale, it is so important, or even the first moment you consider selling and you know that property values may not be where they were when you purchased your home, you want to call your servicer because they're going to give you the best guidance and the best path to make sure that your short sale goes smoothly so that you list the property at the appropriate place.
Again, take an
and
active
all of
role.
that, an active role in your own destiny here. Don't be a victim to the crisis. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself and your family.
And don't pretend it's going to go away because it's not.
It won't go away. The way it will go away is that you may end up with a foreclosure notice and the house will be gone before you know it. So be active, proactive in your home ownership responsibilities.
Is an investor or lender more apt to approve a short sale if you're delinquent? Is it necessary that a homeowner become delinquent before trying to do a short sale?
Not necessarily, but if the borrower has been paying all along without some kind of a hardship of some sorts, it's not easy for the investors to come to the conclusion that a short sale at this time is the appropriate thing to do. It's traditionally used as a resolution to a defaulted mortgage situation. And the borrowers have determined that they can no longer able to keep their homes.
What exactly is a loan? You mentioned loan modification earlier. Why don't you explain for our viewers what a loan modification is?
Sure. A loan modification is a very good question because I've had folks say, well, what's the difference between the HAMP and the HARP program, right? So a loan modification is where you permanently restructure the terms of your mortgage. Under the Making Home Affordable program, you have the Home Affordable Modification Program. It's called HAMP.
HAMP, okay.
And HAMP is a modification, again, that allows you to change the terms of your mortgage such that they are more affordable for you so that you can retain your home. Now, the big agencies, the government-sponsored agencies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, have been doing modifications for many, many years. The Home Affordable Modification was an augmented program built under the Making Home Affordable program led by the Treasury Department.
Okay.
So in the Home Affordable Modification program, what they're striving to do for consistency and execution so that people don't get into execution delays at the servicer shop, they wanted a program that was pretty consistent across the two entities. So they're striving to bring your housing payment down below 31% of your gross monthly income.
The debt ratio.
Your housing ratio, not your total debt ratio.
Okay,
okay?
right, good point.
So that is your Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Does not include your second mortgage. This is
Okay.
only a first lien modification.
Okay.
So, oh, and condo fees if you were in a condominium or a planned unit development where you have a homeownership association due. So that, just your housing payment, they want to be at 31% or below, because studies have shown over the years that that is an affordable place for folks to be allocating their monthly housing expense. So they solicit our borrowers, or the borrowers call in and ask for help. Now they do have borrower solicitation requirements. And you provide them with your income, and then you have to provide them with documentation to support your income. They do the math and determine if your income is sufficient to sustain 31%. If your income shows that your monthly housing payment, just the front ratio, is lower than 31%, you should, in their minds, be able to afford that payment. But if they're looking at your current income and see that something has happened,
Right.
and now you're devoting 45, 50% of your gross, so that's before taxes, your gross income to your housing expense, you're likely to default. So it behooves them to restructure that mortgage, keep you in the home, keeps property values up, cash flowing, and everybody gets to be happy. So they're trying to restructure your mortgage to bring you to an interest rate that will allow your monthly payment to be 31%, down to the 31%.
You mentioned HAMP program and HARP program. You explained what the HAMP program is. Please explain for our viewers what the HARP program is.
Sure. The HARP program under the Making Home Affordable program is the Home Affordable Refinance program. So that's a refinance transaction. You cannot have been late on your mortgage in the past 12 months. You have to be reducing your interest rate or converting your mortgage from an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage, to a fixed rate mortgage.
Do they have to go through their current servicer to get that product?
Yes, they do. They go through their current servicer, but they don't have to. They can shop around for it. But the process through your current servicer is much more streamlined, like we spoke about that a little bit ago. It's a streamlined process. It moves quickly for you. You can get considered and qualified. You cannot have your new loan exceed the value of your house by more than 25%. So the maximum loan to value on the HARP is 125%. So that helps for people who are underwater on their mortgages. There is no total loan to value. So let's say you have a second and, heaven forbid, a third or fourth mortgage or something like that. There's no maximum there. It's really focusing on your first mortgage and allowing you to take advantage of reducing your interest rate, making your monthly payment more affordable so that you can stay in your home, and also attacking the devaluation in home prices that has occurred during the housing crisis.
You mentioned a short sale foreclosure, HAMP, HARP. There's one more option out there, deed in lieu of foreclosure. Please explain to our viewers what a deed in lieu of foreclosure is.
Deed in lieu of foreclosure is when you turn the deed and the keys over to your servicer willingly before foreclosure proceedings are started. Foreclosure proceedings are very expensive for the servicers and the investors. And then ultimately, you go to the foreclosure sale and you don't get that much on the dollar, or if you're one of the government-sponsored agencies and you have a mission to sustain neighborhood values, you put a floor, and if nobody outbids you, you get to be the proud owner of your own real estate-owned property, right? And then you have to turn around and sell it, and so you have holding costs and all of that. So it gets to be very expensive for banks to take properties back. A deed in lieu of foreclosure allows you to give the deed and the keys to the bank, provided that your home is owned free and clear, except for the mortgage. So in lieu of going to foreclosure, you give the deed. So there's a term, deed in lieu of foreclosure. And sometimes, you know, addressing the unemployment situation, that's what some folks have been forced to do because of their current situation. It is a viable but not often used alternative because you have to be free and clear. So many people obtained second mortgages during the booming housing run-up days, you know, 2002 to 2006 or 7 or so. And you have to have that satisfied. You cannot turn over an encumbered deed and have that substitute for your foreclosure process.
You're a senior executive at Freddie Mac. Explain for our viewers what Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are.
Sure. Both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were chartered by the Congress of the United States of America to facilitate the movement of money so that you can always have a ready supply of money moving around the system. It's called the secondary market. So when you as a borrower go to your bank, Bank of Mark Rigney, and Mark says, sure, you qualify for a mortgage. In the olden days, savings and loan days, Mark would say, okay, this mortgage is going to be paid back in 15 or 20 or 30 years. And that was that. And he'd wait 15 or 20 or 30 years until the person sold the house. Well, as more and more folks wanted to enter home ownership, money needed to turn over faster. So now Mark has the opportunity to sell Mr. Brown's mortgage to someone on the secondary market. It's called an investor. He gets people to invest in that note that secures the property. So that way, Mark gets the money back. So Mark has a $150,000 note that he can sit on for 30 years and eventually make quite a bit of money back with the compounding interest. Or he can say, I'm going to sell this note to an investor and get $150,000 back, or whatever terms you structure. You can par premium. And then I can lend that money over again and keep lending it again and again and again as long as I sell it. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac facilitate the secondary mortgage-backed security. You hear the term on TV, MBS market. And through that, then they have to have money that they can turn around to buy Bank of Mark Rigney's notes on occasion. So they turn around and they sell that mortgage to other people. And that's a whole long discussion about how those securitized transactions work and all of that stuff. But basically, they're the next step after the lender who has given you the money, not the broker, but the lender who's actually made your mortgage.
Ingrid, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing our expertise with our viewers. We really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Remember, if you have some questions in regards to mortgage loans or short sales, please visit our website at www.markrigney.org. We will read and answer some of your questions on our next show. On behalf of my friend and colleague, Ingrid Beckles, thank you for watching Financial Solutions with Mark Rigney. We will see you next time.